हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। आज के इस वीडियो में हम डिस्कस करेंगे टीचिंग फॉर डेवलपमेंट ऑफ कॉग्निशन। वीडियो स्टार्ट करने से पहले चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए और बेल आइकन को प्रेस कर दीजिए ताकि आगे आने वाले वीडियोस का नोटिफिकेशन आपको टाइमली मिल सके। तो वीडियो को स्टार्ट करते हैं। Development of cognition. The dictionary meaning of cognition is the art of knowing. Usually it is concerned with knowing, understanding, processing and using information, and these are considered as mental abilities or components of intelligence. Cognitive development refers to the stages and processes involved in the child's intellectual development. There are several theories of development of cognition. Among all the theories, Piaget's theory provides a comprehensive picture of cognitive development from birth to the age of 14 or 15 when cognitive development attains the peak. Piaget conceived of cognitive development as consisting of a series of stages, each characterized by certain kinds of behaviors and certain ways of thinking and solving problems. All the age specific stages have been grouped under four broad stages: sensory motor stage, that is from birth to 2 years; pre operational, that is from 2 to 7 years; concrete operational, from 7 to 12 years; and formal operational, from 12 years onwards. The description of the characteristics of the child's behavior at each stage can be valuable in helping you as a teacher to understand your students' level of cognition. Knowing the cognitive status is important as any form of learning is greatly influenced by the way a student thinks, reasons, and processes information. Some major characteristics at the four stages of cognitive development are provided in Table 1. Sensory motor stage, that is from 0 to 2 years. Intellectual intelligence related motor activities concerned with present and nearby incidents and objects. No language and no thought. No idea of objective reality. Pre-operational, that is from 2 to 7 years. Egocentric thought, reason dominated by perception. Intuitive rather than logical solutions. Inability to conserve. Concrete operational, 7 to 12 years. Ability to conserve logic of class and relations, understanding of numbers, thinking bound to concrete objects and experiences, development of reversibility in thought. Formal operational stage, that is from 12-year onwards. Complete generality of thought, propositional thinking, ability to deal with hypothetical ideas and situations, development of strong idealism. Piaget's theory tells us that the child is born with a mental or cognitive structure which develops and attains maximum growth around the age 14 or 15 years. The major trends of the cognitive development during the four stages are as follows. During the first 2 years of life, the child performs activities mostly driven by sense organs and some motor activities. For an infant at this stage, objects exist when they can be seen, heard, touched, tasted, or smelled, and when they are removed from the infant's immediate sensory experience, they cease to exist. Towards the end of this sensory motor period, the child can identify the objects around him and can imitate several actions of others. And at a later stage, the child can imitate the actions in absence of the actions or objects called deferred imitation. This indicates that a child can observe the action minutely, internalize the actions, and reproduce it significantly, the early form of intentional action. Intentional actions are also part of intelligent activity. Piaget defines operations as mental activities subject to certain rules of logic. According to him, operations in true form do not appear before 7 years of age. But with the development of language ability, the child tries to reason out in a crude way during the pre operation period. These reasoning are mostly pre logical, egocentric, everything moving around the self, and intuitive, mostly driven by emotion and passion. The intelligence is as commonly understood begins to appear towards the end of the pre-operational stage, that is around the age of 6 or 7 years. It is during the concrete operation period, that is from 7 to 12 years. Children make a fundamentally important transition from a pre-logical form of thought to logical thinking that apply to real concrete objects and events. Three important mental abilities develop during this period with manipulation of concrete objects and events. They are conservation, classification, and seriation. Conservation is the realization that quantity or amount does not change when nothing has been added to or taken away from an object or collection of objects, despite changing in form of arrangement in space. For example, to test the conservation of a number, expose the children to two collections of marbles or beads as shown below. If these two arrangements of marbles are shown to children in pre-operation stage, almost all would say that the collection B has more marbles because they have not yet developed the ability of conservation of numbers. Similarly, conservation tasks in area, volume, and mass have revealed that it is during the concrete operation stage children develop this ability. Classification is to group objects according to their similarities and differences. Classification involves comparing and contrasting the objects on different characteristics like size, shape, color, weight, use, material, etc. A child in pre-operational stage is not capable of classifying objects and cannot compare more than two objects at a time. Seriation is the ability to arrange similar objects in definite order, increasing or decreasing. Besides these three, the ability to deal with numbers, a direct product of classification and seriation, develops during the stage of concrete operations. The stage of formal operations is the final stage of cognitive development. It is formal because the subject matters with which children can now deal are mostly imaginary or hypothetical, abstract, and free from concrete objects and events. The thinking process at this stage involves propositional reasoning, following the if then logic, like if A is greater than B and B is greater than C, then what is the relation between A and C? Such problems involving abstract and propositional logic cannot be solved by children in concrete operation stage. Lev Vygotsky, the famous Russian psychologist, adds two elements in his theory of cognitive development. He stresses the impact of culture and language on the cognitive development. According to him, without culture, intellectual function is limited to ape-like elementary mental functions. With intensive interaction with the elements of culture and healthy language development, we become capable of higher mental functions involved in thinking, reasoning, remembering, and so on. Further, Vygotsky states that the child progresses through three stages in developing language functions. Social speech before age 3 or 4 years, used largely to control others or to express simple concepts. Egocentric speech 3 to 7 years is mostly talking about self and usually spoken out loud. It has a role in controlling and directing the child's own behavior. Inner speech above 7 years is masked by unspoken verbalizations that control thought and behavior. Vygotsky argues strongly for language related activities in school and inclusion of cultural elements in the curricular interactions in and outside of the classroom. In primary schools, most of them are in the concrete operation period, while those in the upper primary school are in formal operation period. As discussed, these two periods, especially the concrete operation stage, is very crucial for cognitive development. Therefore, you need to develop your teaching strategies for development of cognition of children. Following are some points to note. In your strategy of teaching, you have to strike an optimal balance in Piaget's language equilibration between using previous experience, old learning and behavior, assimilation, and making new changes accommodation. Striking balance or equilibration helps the child in adapting the change in behavior and action. While providing learning experiences, maturation levels of the children have to be recognized. Maturation unfolds the hereditary characteristics which help us to make appropriate learning provisions. You cannot ask a child to sing a song loudly when she has not developed full control over her speech producing organs, which develops in course of maturation. Cognitive development depends directly on the child's day-to-day activities and experiences with real objects and events. Provision should be made for a relatively large amount of activities, both physical and mental, relating learning to real objects and events, especially before the formal operations stage. Social interaction, that is, interaction with others, is fundamental to the development of notions about others, about things, about self. Such interactions, predominantly verbal in nature, help in development of language abilities and understanding relations, both of which are crucial for cognitive development. Understanding children is important on the part of a teacher when a child responding to the task shown in figure 1 only states that in figure 1 there are more number of marbles. We cannot understand the child's intention clearly if we just conclude that he has committed an error. Rather, if we probe as to why the child thinks it to be correct, then perhaps we can understand his capabilities better than suggesting the correct response directly. In this way, we can know the strengths and limitations of the students and make appropriate strategies for development of their cognition. Language is the primary symbolic expression of our thought. Therefore, giving children more chance to speak freely is not only helping to develop his or her cognition, but also to understand the child better through his or her expressions. So guys, ये था आज का टॉपिक. आई होप आपको वीडियो पसंद आई होगी प्लीज़ इसे लाइक एंड शेयर ज़रूर कीजिए। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग।